Welcome to the deep dive. Look, we know you want to get straight to what matters, without all the noise.
Yeah, quickly and clearly.
Exactly. So today, we're getting into something pretty concerning. It comes from a personal letter about the Social Court of Hamburg, that's the court handling benefit disputes, and the job center Altona.
Right, the local employment agency there.
This letter details one person's really frustrating experience. We want to unpack what happened, what stands out, and maybe what it hints at, systemically.
Okay, so the core issue here is this person's claim against the job center Altona. They felt the applications weren't being processed.
Right. But what's really caught our eye, and theirs, is this communication they got directly from the social court.
Which is unusual in itself sometimes.
Yeah. So this letter, it's dated December 3rd, 2024. It has the case file number, standard stuff, but then there's a sentence actually in bold text.
Ah, yes, the quote.
Regarding the admissibility of the lawsuit or whether there will be any response to your submissions in the future, the court will comment separately.
Which sounds, well, quite ominous, doesn't it? Less like procedure, more like a warning, almost.
Or a threat, maybe. That's how the writer took it.
Understandably. It definitely seems to step outside normal court communication protocols. The writer mentions being shocked, especially since there was apparently no prior indication of any problem from the court.
And the really worrying part, this promised separate explanation, it just never arrived.
Correct. Nearly 5 months went by, according to the letter, and nothing. Silence.
So no follow-up. And the writer's conclusion is that the court basically made good on that statement by simply not processing their original claim.
That's the assertion, that the court decided not to respond to their submissions, just like the letter kind of hinted it might. And this is where it really touches on, fundamental due process. Normally, if a court sees an issue with admissibility or anything else, they communicate that. They explain why. Give the person a chance to respond.
Right, standard procedure.
Exactly. This alleged silence, it suggests a potential breakdown in that very basic part of the process. You have to wonder if communication channels are just not working effectively between citizens and these institutions.
And the situation didn't stop there. It apparently got worse.
Yes, the writer says they filed 2 urgent applications later on, one on March 26, 2025, and another April 13th.
Urgent because?
Because their continued benefit application from back in February still hadn't been approved. So these were urgent pleas for action.
And according to the letter, these urgent applications were also ignored.
That's the claim. No response, no action.
So connecting the dots here, this lack of response to urgent requests had real-world consequences, pretty severe ones.
Absolutely devastating, it seems. The writer states they've had 0 means of subsistence since April 1st. No income.
And they mentioned difficulties finding work as an older person, plus having no savings to fall back on.
Right, we're talking about an empty bank account, failed direct debits. Just no money for basic living needs.
It sounds incredibly desperate, and the letter really emphasizes that they tried repeatedly to get someone's attention.
Yeah, they list contacting the job center, the social court, again, even the court's presidential division, job center management, the social welfare authority.
A lot of attempts.
A lot. And according to the writer, just silence from all directions. It paints a picture of hitting a bureaucratic brick wall, basically.
You have to ask, what should have happened when someone communicates such an urgent need? There must be procedures for that.
There should be. That persistence highlights the desperation, but maybe also a systemic issue if multiple contact points fail to respond.
And the letter ends on this really stark note, the writer saying they're facing starvation and just cannot understand why they're being treated this way.
It really brings home the human impact when systems don't seem to work as intended.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've got an individual who says they received let's call it a highly unusual and potentially threatening communication from a social court.
Followed by alleged total inaction on their case, even on urgent appeals.
Leading directly to a dire financial crisis for them. That initial statement from the court, even if meant procedurally, carries a lot of weight.
It certainly does, and it makes you question the power dynamics involved.
Yeah, this whole account really pushes you to think about how accessible, how responsive these vital systems actually are. What does it signal when someone feels completely shut out?
Shut out by both the agencies supposed to help and the court meant to provide oversight. It raises serious questions about communication, accountability, due process.
Definitely.
And just think about the impact on this one person's life. These bureaucratic processes, they have to have clear, reliable communication, especially, when someone's basic needs are unmet.
Timely communication is critical.
Absolutely. Is this just one unfortunate isolated case, or does it point to broader challenges within the system? That's the lingering question, isn't it?
It is. It leaves you really considering that human element inside these big systems and just how crucial, clear, timely interaction is when people's actual survival is on the line. Maybe looking into how communication typically flows would be the next step.